Hello, this is a comparison between using the RDP Remote Desktop Protocol in order to connect to an Ubuntu 24.04 Linux machine in graphical user interface mode using XRDP as the RDP server and X3RDP as the RDP client. So we're going to compare connecting via RDP and versus connecting in graphical user interface mode using the VNC protocol. We're going to use Tiger VNC both as VNC server and VNC client. So this is the computer with IPv4 address ending in 117. I'm connected using SSH. Let's see how the VNC server Tiger VNC is set up. In my home directory, there's this file tilde/.vnc/x startup. This is its content. I can't actually connect to GNOME, the default session, the default X11 session in Ubuntu 24.04. I need to use this thing, GNOME Flashback Metacity. So I'm using not the default session in order to be able to connect via VNC. Let's see how the RDP server is set up. I have just installed two packages, XRDP and XORG-XRDP, and using the RDP protocol, I can connect to Ubuntu 24.04 in graphical user interface mode to the default X11 session with GNOME shell. Let's start the VNC server in foreground mode. Let's connect to the VNC server using the Tiger VNC client named VNC viewer. It asks for the SSH password. I'm using a tunnel, SSH tunnel to the computer. And then it asks for the read or whatever, for the full access VNC password. This is how it looks like. Again, not the default Ubuntu 24.04 experience with GNOME shell, but the alternative X11 session with GNOME fallback. I cannot connect to the same computer using the same Linux user using the RDP protocol because both Tiger VNC and XRDP act as X servers, and I cannot connect at the same time using the same Linux user. So I need to create another user. I named this user for XRDP. This is the command line that I'm using. I'm connecting from an X session, not from Wayland, so I use the RDP client X3RDP. I specify the Linux user, initial height and width, IPv4 of the machine that I want to connect to, then the best protocols, /video, /RFX, /GFX, and the best speed, network LAN, and the fact that I want the resolution of the Ubuntu 24.04 session to be changeable from the RDP client. Whenever I resize the X3RDP window, that will tell the Ubuntu 24.04 machine to change its resolution. It's the first time that I'm connecting to this Ubuntu 24.04 machine using this user. Let's do what it says. So this is the welcome first run wizard, English US keyboard, start. And this is it. Let's see if we can resize the FreeRDP window. We can. It resized the X11 session automatically. Let's see if we can resize the Tiger VNC window. Yes, we can. That also resizes the X11 session. So at least resizing works exactly the way I want it. Okay, let's see if disconnecting and reconnecting works. Log out. Log out. Let's reconnect. Start a VNC server in foreground. Connect to it. Resize. And the XRDP server is running all of the time using a systemd service. So I just need to use this long command line to connect to it. Let's wait a bit, maybe waiting is going to be enough. If not, I'm going to reconnect. I tried connecting via RDP, did not succeed. I've restarted the machine. Sometimes the X11 session that's being handled either by XRDP or by Tiger VNC might enter into a strange zone where you can't really close the X session. So the only solution is to just restart the computer. Let's see if that's in fact the solution. Maybe that was it. I reproduce this issue on other Linux computers running XRDP. So the way you disconnect from the XRDP session sometimes is not, the best. So if you just close the RDP client, the X11 session will continue to exist, and then you can reconnect using XFreeRDP. You will be presented with the exact same session where you left off. Let's, for instance, start files. Help. Yay, we have files. Okay, so let's just close the RDP client. Let's reopen the RDP client. And we're connected to the exact same session. So the simple fact that you close the RDP connection does not mean that the X server, the X session is going to be closed. Just the fact that you close the RDP client window, again, does not mean that the X session is closed. In order to actually close the X session, you need to either log the user out of the graphical user interface session, the X session, or do something more drastic like kill the X server, kill all of the X servers, or restart the computer. Okay. Let's see if the same thing works. So we want to see if disconnecting the VNC client by just closing the VNC client window, Tiger VNC, and then reopening it will remember the applications that were running. And yes, it does. So feature parity between the VNC protocol and the RDP protocol for now, in the sense that resizing the window of the client will also resize the X session. And if we close the client window, the X session will continue running on the computer. So we can disconnect and reconnect as many times as we want. The difference between RDP and VNC for now is that we're in total different X11 session. So when using the RDP protocol, we're in the default Ubuntu session, whereas using the VNC protocol, we're forced to use the GNOME fallback session. A session which resembles the GNOME 2 times from, I don't know, Ubuntu 0404 from the year 2004. Okay, how do we start the help? I don't know. How do we search for things in here? The same applications, the same client-side decorations for the window manager, different icon themes. Different taskbar. This overview effect is different. The Tiger VNC client window does not swallow alt tabs, whereas the FreeRDP client does swallow the special keys. So alt tab is captured by the FreeRDP window and is applied on the RDP X11 server. The Windows key is a bit special. It's applied to the FreeRDP connection, but also to the host operating system. Okay, next up, let's see if we can copy and paste text. How do we do that? Let's start a gedit. Where is that? Text editor. So copy pasting via the Tiger VNC client and server does work. Let's copy some other text. So Control V did work, but right click paste did not work the first time. It does work the second time. Right click, paste. I'm not sure what this glitch is, but copy paste does work. If copy paste starts not working, you're either not copying from the computer where the RDP client is running towards the FreeRDP window. Maybe you're copying from another FreeRDP window to another FreeRDP window. Maybe you're copying from a VNC client window to a RDP client window. So sometimes you need to do this intermediate step where you copy from VNC, you put it somewhere on the intermediate machine, the host machine in my case, and then from here you copy further to the other client. Okay, let's see if copying from the VNC client works. We just saw that it works. We copied this text from the gedit GNOME text editor from Tiger VNC towards the host machine, and from the FreeRDP window towards the host machine. And it did work. So we can copy paste at least text between the host machine and the remote computer using both protocols, VNC in the Tiger VNC implementation and RDP in the XRDP, XFreeRDP implementation. And these are the most important features that I want from a VNC or RDP client. I want speed. I want instantaneously to see the context menus and the main menus. So the interactivity should be as fast as possible. I want the colors and pixels to be accurate. I want to be able to have the VNC session or the XRDP session be kept. If I disconnect, I should be able to reconnect to the old session, which I do have. And then I want to be able to resize the window any way I want, which I can. And copy paste of text. If I have resizing the VNC or the RDP client work correctly plus copy paste of text, then I can, for instance, not ever run the web client, so the web browser, on the remote machine, and that allows me to have virtual machines with very limited amounts of random access memory. For instance, I can have a 4 GB of RAM virtual machine that I'm connecting to using RDP or VNC protocol. And then I'm going to run the web browser only on the host machine, only on the machine where the VNC client runs or where the RDP client runs. The host machine might have, I don't know, 32 gigabytes of RAM, will be able to have many web browser tabs opened. And this way I can have my online accounts, etc., all of my web browsing happening on just one machine, on the host machine. Maybe I'm connecting to 10 different small virtual machines in graphical user interface mode. Maybe I'm following some tutorial in the web browser that's running on the host machine, and I'm going to paste things in the terminal in the remote machine. Something like, this. Okay, this is my wiki page and mariusp.github.io, where I have a tutorial on how to install the XRDP server on all of the operating systems where this server can be installed, currently just Linux operating systems and FreeBSD. Hopefully, in the future, the support for the operating system OpenBSD is also added to the XRDP RDP server. So this is how I install it on Ubuntu, the newest versions, just one command line, sudo apt install xrdp xorg xrdp. For different Linux operating systems, there might be extra steps involved. Like on Fedora, there's a ton of steps because you actually need to edit a file and uncomment 10 lines in that file, in this file. Or for instance, in the Arch Linux operating system and the operating system family Arch Linux, the packages XRDP and xorg xrdp are not in the official archive package of packages. You need to build these two packages from AUR. Some other operating systems require that you edit some file in your home directory, like /.xinitrc or /startwm.sh, etc. The client that I use is xFreeRDP. There's another client from the same package, WL-FreeRDP, if you're running on Wayland. The command line is long, but you can always get it from my wiki page or from one of my many YouTube screen recordings about how to install XRDP on various Linux operating systems and FreeRDP and the FreeBSD operating system. Windows operating systems, both client and server versions of the Windows operating systems, come with the remote desktop server pre-installed. It's not enabled by default, so you need to enable it. As an RDP client, on Windows, there are broadly two options. The default application which is called the Remote Desktop Connection, which is pre-installed in Windows operating systems. And then there's also from Microsoft, from sysinternal suite, the application Remote Desktop Connection Manager, RDC Man, and this is the one that I advise you to use. This has support for multiple connections. It has a connection manager. It remembers the servers that you have connected previously. So this is it. Fortunately, the Tiger VNC solution plus the RDP XRDP solution are both great. They fulfill all of my needs, and thankfully they exist and they work as well as they do. Thank you.